and I'm going to be reading something I prepared for you as well. When I was a little girl, I wanted so badly to be on a stage. I had no idea what I wanted to be doing on the stage, just that I wanted to give something to the world, something that made people feel. Since my diagnosis of aplastic anemia, which is bone marrow failure, in August of 2015, I have been on a few stages for reasons I never in a million years would have imagined. In 2015, I was about to be a junior in high school. I had a job at Kmart as a cashier in my hometown, Manistee, Michigan. I was primarily worried about boys and back-to-school shopping at that time in my life, and it only took 24 hours for that to change. One night, one morning, one doctor's appointment, and my worries went from boys to bags of blood I was dependent on for survival. For roughly a year and a half, I spent days, weeks, and sometimes months at a time living out of Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. For me, as a 16-year-old, it was hard to understand what all of this was supposed to mean. I was raised to believe that everything happens for a reason, so when life gives you lemons, you make the best lemonade you possibly can. And despite what I had been indoctrinated to believe, and despite my wholehearted belief in it, I still felt exceedingly confused and found it hard to locate a silver lining. Eventually, my doctors told me that my bone marrow was ultimately failing, regardless of the treatment I had been receiving. My best option was a bone marrow transplant from an unrelated donor, which we found through Be The Match. When I heard this, I completely freaked out. I remember exactly where I was. I had just gotten out of an assembly for my high school winter carnival week. At the time, I was attending school with roughly around 15,000 platelets and a 7.5 hemoglobin, but I was intent on being a normal teenager. I had just been voted that year's winter carnival rep for my junior class, and as everyone fled from the gymnasium after the assembly ended, I got a call from my mother who told me the test result for my last bone marrow biopsy showed my cellularity to be 5%. And if you don't know what that means, basically there was nothing going on with my bone marrow. I locked myself in a bathroom and I sobbed. Despite how hard I tried to live a normal life, my body was failing me. And this made everything seem as if life was slipping out of my hands, that I was watching everything I wanted escape me. I was overcome with a million emotions, and I carried them with me up to my transplant on February 2nd, 2017. Even with the medical craziness that happened surrounding my transplant, I made it through the process, and less than a year later, I was off to college. Spring break of 2018, I met my donor in Venice Beach, California. Days before I left to visit my father, who lives outside of San Francisco, I received a call from my nurse at Helen DeVos. She was nearly jumping through the phone with excitement. The year-long wait was finally up. She could tell me who donated their bone marrow to me, and we were both really ready to Facebook stalk her. Her name was Kiana. She was 22 years old, and she was from Huntington Beach, California. Kiana and I contacted each other immediately and planned to meet while I was in California. And finally, the day came. I was with Julie, a Be The Match representative from California, and a few different local news outlets ready to capture everything on camera. I stood in Venice Beach and waited for the person who saved my life to meet me. For me, I don't think I fully understood what this transplant meant until the moment before I met Kiana. By this, I mean I was standing in Venice Beach, watching people live their Californian lifestyles, gawking at the talent the local artists produced, taking mental images to bring back home and share with my friends. And all of this was because of her. All the joy I felt in that moment was because of her. And as I saw her walk over the little hill that separated us, I realized that everything that was to come after was because of her too. Every time I smiled so hard, my cheeks hurt. And every time I laugh so hard, I cry. The ability to go to college and the potential to dream as big as I want to and accomplish anything I set my mind to with absolutely no restraints, especially not my health, is because of her. Being able to watch my baby brothers grow up and not have to interact with them by wearing face masks and gloves to prevent contamination and sickness that can be caused from a simple hug is because of her. I may have lost a year or two of normal high school, but but I gained the rest of my life. I gained a purpose. I gained every good feeling and thought and beautiful moment because of Kiana and Be The Match. Today, I get to be on a stage because I am living proof of how amazing this organization is. And that touches my heart more than anything ever could. Be The Match continues to give me hope, strength, and purpose. And if I could instill even an ounce of what Be The Match has instilled in me and the people here tonight, I would be forever grateful. Thank you.